Hey guys, so this one is not about politics. I want to talk about really my friend, Richard Plutzer, of blessed memory. Uh, as you can see, guys, I'm still kind of to say that I'm in shock is the word shock does not suffice. It's funny. I first kind of got to know of Richard's existence, I guess you could say, when I first started posting about the wineries of Judea and Samaria. And I don't even know how this happened, but I guess he found out about the page, the Facebook page, and I see the same name always liking like every post about this winery, about that winery, this history, that history, whatever it was. It didn't matter if it was a video or some kind of graphic or crappy one, horrible looking one, amateur one. Sometimes he would be the only name that liked it, or the only name that like appeared in the anything, right? In the liking and the sharing list, I guess you can call it. And then, interesting, like, I remember then, I don't remember the order of operations here, but I guess I would, I post a lot about Rebecca Hana on my personal page and also on my Nation of Israel page. And I, again, saw the name, Richard Plutzer. Okay. I checked out who the guy was. Yeah, Rangers fan, I think. Big, New York sports guy. I guess, I don't know, I didn't put two and two together in terms of like the liquor industry. So then you fast forward a couple of years and I think I see Richard in my partner Yeshua's store where he used to work in Grapevine. And Yeshua's like, hey, meet, this is Richard. And then he's like, yeah, man, I love your stuff, this and that, I was like, oh, you're the guy that just clicks on everything. Yeah, this and that, and we just start chatting and, just about everything, just about the industry, just about everything that kind of goes on, all the people that we meet, all the thought processes that people have, which are largely, a little bit strange. And that's actually what I wanted to say about Richard. Richard was a person who was a beacon of light, and I came up with a name for him. He was like the minesweeper. If you're in a battle, if you're in a unit, like a military unit with someone, and there's like treacherous things, let's say, I can only think of World War I as a prime example. You're in a trench, right? And then there's a guy in your unit who every so often steps out of the trench just to check what's going on out there. Whether it's mines, whether it's where somebody's shooting from, artillery, whatever it is, right? You're looking at the enemy's stuff, right? Guys, Richard was that guy. And then he came back, he would come back to the trench and he would say, and you would ask him, Richard, am I crazy? Am I imagining things? But are they like throwing, I don't know, freaking howitzer stuff at us, stuff from howitzers? He's like, nah, man, you're not imagining. They are. And by the way, it's you don't know the half of it. You know what I mean? And here's what I experienced. And let me tell you about this. And then let me tell you about... And then he would say, let me tell you what you should do. It wasn't just like guys talking shop and, war stories and whatever, right? He would tell you what you should do. Richard was a person, honestly, guys, like, I never thought I would be in the liquor business. And what my partner set out to do, which we're still trying to do, which we have not succeeded in doing, is to bridge the gap between, I guess you could say, the non-kosher liquor world and the, so to speak, kosher liquor world, in the sense of educating people about Israel, about Judea and Samaria. That's really why we want to do it. And Richard is a person who actually did it, not with regards to Israel so much, maybe he did later, but with regards to just bringing, actually reverse, quality things from the non-kosher world into the kosher world, so to speak, showing people in the liquor industry why selling things to people who are kosher, to Jews who are kosher, is viable for you economically. If you guys ever seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and he's like standing outside a bank, and there's a guy, with a sign, he says, "They fired me because I'm not economically viable." It's a famous thing for those who know. And Richard made kosher economically viable for the people who otherwise are not kosher. By the way, guys, Richard was in my opinion, was the frumest non-frum person I know. He wasn't even classically a frum person. From what I understand, he always told me, he joked with me, he's like, my wife is I guess a Balshuva or a Modern Orthodox or whatever you want to call it. I don't like these labels, right? He's like, my wife is frum, I'm not. He goes, my daughter followed my wife, followed her mom, and my son followed me, so to speak, right? His son went to like a regular, I think University of Michigan, and his daughter went to YU. I don't know the story after we spoke about that. I don't know what's transpired since then, but this is what he told me. Because we were talking about shidduchim, and I was telling him my stuff with shidduchim and being a Baal Tshuva, how hard it is. He's like, oh, you see, I'm not frum, and my wife is, whatever, right? But folks, honestly, he's probably the most God-fearing, non-kippah person I know. He's the most God-fearing, so to speak, secular. Folks, Richard and I, if you take away all the wine stuff, we shared a deep appreciation for Rabbi Kahana of blessed memory. May his blood be avenged. I think, honestly, I never thought, and you could probably say, oh, Tzvi, there's bigger Kahanists out there than you. Probably yes. But guys, I gotta tell you, I met a lot of people who are, followers of Rebbe Kahana. I don't think I met a bigger follower of Rebbe Kahana than Richard. And a person who embodies that ethos in every way possible. And just, a lover of Israel, a lover of the right things in Israel, about Israel, a lover of Israeli wine, a person who, most recently he was, I guess, literally the head of sales for Allied distributors. And I remember he and I spoke, and I remember he basically was setting out to do what, my partner and I also would like to do. We're basically on the same page. To put Israel on the map. Yeah, kosher, but Israel on the map, and educate people about Israel and bring Israel to the forefront. And to not only to do it from like it's a political thing or it's a prophecy thing, the vineyards of Israel are coming back, but also to show that Israel is like a bona fide wine producing country with like crazy ratings and in international magazines, and we belong in the, if you put all politics aside, we belong in the wine producing world. Not only belong, we're an integral part from, starting from like thousands of years ago, and now we're back again. Not only biblically speaking, not only like prophecy wise speaking, but in terms of quality and in terms of what's coming out of Israel, in terms of the level, or what we call pound for pound. because Israel's a small country, a big, what is it called? A big winery in Israel, like in terms of production, is considered boutique in France, for example. So Richard understood these things, and he was trying to bring all that out. And he was trying to take, by the way, his knowledge from kind of the non-kosher world and bring, just like, listen, guys, no offense to anybody, bring serious another level of professionalism to the kosher wine industry, the kosher liquor industry, really. And I say this with love for people in, the kosher industry. Guys, honestly, again, like, if there was ever, like, so to speak, a shoulder to cry on, not really cry, but just, like, call a person and ask him a question, or even message him really quickly about something or someone in the industry, and get an honest, no BS, no gaslight, no, you're imagining things answer, it was Richard. That, and I gotta tell you guys, this is advice, this is consultation and advice, and honestly emotional, like, kind of leaning that most people in Richard's position charge thousands of dollars, for people to talk to them. I don't know why Richard offered to me and my partner for free, and other people probably as well, literally for free, gratis, free of charge. And it's not like he knew me so well from before, meaning, like, it's not like we were friends previously outside of the industry. The only reference point that he had of me was the things that I was posting, about Judea and Samaria, about the wineries, things I was posting personally, politically, whatever it was, about Israel, or just a personal life, right? So, but I could say everybody saw what he saw, right? But it takes a special person to, if you have like 10 people that see the same thing, but then one of them decides, hey, I'm going to be that guy's friend, I'm not going to be threatened by him, either personally or professionally. I'm not going to, for whatever reason, throw him shade. In fact, I'm going to be his friend because, hey, I agree with every, stuff he says. We're on the same page, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be friends. Forget about business. Just to be friends, and to share, good things, and to share viewpoints, and to share, things you have in common, so to speak, and how you see the world, and how you see Israel, and how you see, folks. This is something that's very, very rare, because a lot of people can look at the same things, again, in this case, that Richard saw, and say, oh, look at this guy, who does he think he is, or something like that, right? Or maybe be jealous, or maybe be, I don't know, whatever, right? Not that there's anything to be jealous of. I haven't made a dime in this business, But Richard saw people. He saw goodness in people. He saw the emes of, or he tried to, at least, the emes of what people were, or what people are. And he tried to bring out the positive things, and he tried to accentuate the positive things. He tried to find the point of contact, or the point of, I guess, importance with what a person was concerned about, and he tried to just listen. The Lubavitch Rebbe used to say, sometimes people don't want necessarily advice or to fix. They just need an ear that listens, They just need an ear that listens. By the way, to say that Richard and I agree on everything would be a lie, right? There's a certain president I try to chip away at Richard's psyche, so to speak. I have a feeling he may have realized, eventually, what he's supposed to do. regarding that. I'm not even going to go into that. It's pointless at this point. But at the same, so I think about, do you want to be right or do you want to have friends? That's what the Rebbe used to say that as well, right? What should I say, guys? I don't know. He listened. He knew how to listen. He knew how to listen. He knew how to absorb what a person was telling him, and then he could reverberate back, and then he can say, okay, now that I've listened to what you have to say, Tzvi, let me tell you now how you should look at this situation or whatever it is, and then how you should proceed. Here's another idea you didn't think of, Tzvi. Here's another thing. Here's another person maybe you should speak to. Here's another place maybe you should go. Here's something you didn't see, not because you can't see, but because you just, here's the experience that I know, again, that I'm going to give to you, which normally costs thousands of dollars to know the information or the person, right? My friends, I mean, in the industry that we're in, for a person to do that, it's listen, let me cut through the crap, as Richard would. It's a cutthroat place. It's a cutthroat industry. And for a person like that, in his position, to do what he does and did, it shows about the person. It shows about the character and the heart of the person. My friends, Richard Plutzer was a lighthouse. I'm sorry again, this is no offense to anybody personally, guys, but you know what I'm talking about. Richard Plutzer was a lighthouse inside of a swamp. He was a lighthouse. He was a very, very high, tall lighthouse. For me, I don't know about anybody else. He was a tall lighthouse inside of a freaking swamp. Okay? And you guys could, whatever, be upset at me for saying that. I'm saying it like it is. So I just want to say, I don't know what Richard's, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what his Hebrew name is. I guess I'll find out soon, but I don't know what his father's name is. But may Richard Plutzer, may his neshama have an aliyah. May he daven for us up there. And I'm sure he's sitting there with Rabbi Kahana and, just talking about the land of Israel and talking about the Geula and how all the Jews have to come back to Israel. And may Richard's neshama have an aliyah, and may his family be comforted, with the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And really, I really hope we have T.S. Mason very soon, the resurrection of the dead, because I don't know about you guys, because I can't take this anymore. And I want to see Richard again, and I want to have a big hug and sit down, the three of us, myself, my partner Yeshua, and Richard, and have some amazing wine from Israel, not mevushal. And B'ezrat Hashem, guys. Baruch Dayan Emes.